All right, welcome to another edition of the Gamer Gambit, where a roll of the dice will leave you in awe or indifference. Corey, you've got a game that's not a game queued up for us. What's that about?
Yes, this. Welcome back, Olaf. This is, I forget the name of it.
TV Guide, I'm guessing. Maybe not.
Oh, TV Guide. Sorry, no, obviously, yeah, no, TV Guide is it. So this is a interesting game that's basically just, I guess you maybe put it in the category of like a clicker, maybe. So this is actually going to be done live, because it's pretty short, I guess, and short and to the point. So the idea is that you are watching TV and clicking through, and there's a little one sentence how to play instruction at the bottom, which is click tap on the television to progress the scene. And when you reach the end or get bored, simply change the channel. So clicking doesn't, do anything. So you change the channel first, and then you get an image. So this is, what you're watching. So I can click all over the place and nothing happens. So you need to click in the right spot, which happens to be the TV set in the middle. So
which your old cursor clue of this is how you found the hidden pixel on browsers of years gone by.
So you'll notice that the art changed, and there's can't click anywhere else, but I can click there again. Okay. And I didn't really see too much of a story or narrative with this that was in any way organized, but so you're basically finding these things in the image. Oh, there's a click spot, and it goes from this is a little story about some noodles that are yummy. And
need you say more?
Yes. So squiggle, never. And so this is the game. And you can change the channel, and I think you get slightly different image. I don't know if I haven't found the place to click on this.
Where to go from this place?
Where to go from here?
And maybe I see you have a changed channel. It's not part of the TV itself. It's actually below the TV.
Right. Yeah. So I can click on change channel and then come back to the TV, and then this is a Quizzard one. What flavor is a lemon with a money sign? Bittersweet. Okay. Okay. Looks like I can click on any of them. Lemon. The answer is sour. Now we're back at the TV again. We're grabbing the remote.
This is so meta because he's looking at the channel that you were just looking at. Wow.
Yes. And then something flew up to the stars, and now I'm happy. And I think I reached the end. I haven't found anything to click on this. And then I can change the channel.
No unlocks.
Gone fishing. Okay, here we go. Now we're starting with the moon. Oh, a little the cow jumped over the moon, right?
Yeah.
That's what this kind of imagery is usually from. Is that right? That
no, I was thinking of Dream. I completely blanked on it, but the animation studio.
So this is the what do we have here? Passed out. Now I wake up. No, I'm dreaming maybe. So this is the whole entire game. It's nothing.
It's an experience, not a game.
Maybe if you call it an experience, I would maybe call it an experiment.
That's fair too.
I don't know how. I think it in the comments below it actually says like how many of these there are. There's like 16.
Okay.
Find basically 16 different click-through sessions, figuring out where to kind of to click, and then it looking like that there's something similar at the end as far as always ending up in that room.
Right. This one got you out of the room. So I gotta say though, like this was all contributions to the bundle for racial injustice. And I mean, obviously they can't all be super winners, but I feel like it's a little disingenuous to offer up non-titles. This one actually is better than a similar one I had that didn't even have an ending to it, but I feel like we're running across some titles that were incomplete, were experiments, as you say, right? That weren't really like contribution titles. This one's kind of interesting. There's certainly some work done in it, but some of them are less so.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure the replay value with this, for example. So I can't really can't really rate it on that. So to our score, I gave this a score of 1 of 5. I gave it I extended an olive branch by giving it a 1 for art.
I was
And
wondering
that
what I
there
got a
was
1
some,
for.
and yeah, so that was for art. But from like a mechanics, controls, sound, there isn't any sound.
Okay.
So from all those categories, there was just nothing here to represent those categories. So
I
I
do
gave
like
it
the
a nice
blend.
1 as right, and that's where a lot of that 1 comes from. Is
Yeah.
it's got some art. Someone had to string this together, and some of these look like that they have some slight resemblance of transition from one to the other from a they're related. Some of the images are related, you know. So
Mhm.
now I'm happy. Look, you know, look who it is. Look who it is. Great. And then so someone had to make, you know, this transition or come up with these for those images or gifs or whatever else. So I went ahead and gave it a, you know, a 1 for art. But yeah, everything else didn't really have anything to represent it. So zeros there. And that is TV Guide
By
by
Nile Pudding.
yeah,
Does it say
by One Nile
does it say
Pudding.
anything in the comments below, like a description about how it was made or why it was made or anything like that? No, it just gets into comments. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So I read some of the
Yeah.
comments, and that's where it looked like, you know, people were saying thank you, and it got 4 stars of 36, which I really tried to find those 36 reviews to
Yeah.
see their comments. But, um, you know, some people were saying that from that maybe creative perspective, that people are giving it
Yeah, maybe it's
some thumbs
artsy
up,
and we're
and that's
missing the
fair.
point, right? That's certainly fair.
Yeah.
There is
So I'd go with that.
some an interesting avant-garde kind of thing going on with that. Okay, well, such as it is, mine was different than this. Let me pull mine up. Mine had a distinct feel, I want to say, of like an old classic Sega Genesis kind of game. And when I say that, I really mean like the way I felt about Sega Genesis games, not what they actually looked like. So just to set the bar appropriately. So let me see. So this is Gunhouse, and this is by a studio. I think it's Necromance. How's that volume?
A little loud.
Bring it down. So in Gunhouse, this is kind of interesting because Gunhouse is kind of a blend of things. It's tower defense, and it's also like got this kind of Tetris feel to it. So quite literally, it's like active tower puzzle defense, or perhaps puzzle power tower defense. And the idea is that you go through this little puzzle game in order for you to come up with the weapons that you then use to defend yourself against the alien armies that are coming after you. And so there's some strategy here because you're trying to match the things that are being shown to you up top, where it actually shows like where it'll say match. So when it says match, you're actually trying to match those because you get bonuses on them. If you drag to the right, you get sort of these screen wide impacts, and if you drag to the left, then you get these turrets, you know, these gun effects. So that's kind of where you may decide, like, I like a certain weapon for a certain purpose. And the other thing, I was terrible at this. So the whole time, like, I was born and raised on Tetris, so I know how to play Tetris. But this was very different because you had to create blocks. So you had to assemble blocks of 2x2 to 2x3 to 3x3. And that was just a model that confounded me. Like, I really struggled.
Looks like a match 3 game.
Well, that's what I felt like it is, but it's not match 3, right? You have to get blocks of 2x3 or 2x2 or whatever. a straight row of 3 won't get you anything. So it confounded me a bit on trying to figure out how to create these blocks appropriately. By the time you're seeing the recording here, I was better at it, but I would still get very confused at times when I saw certain patterns that eluded me. And I certainly had favorite weapons by this time. So at this point, the dragon weapon, I was like, it's okay on the turret, but it's terrible on the right swing, on the area effect damage. So the weapon fires and then it blows up when it's out of ammo. And so then I don't exactly know how the timing works, but at times it sends you back to this puzzle in order to generate new weapons. And then things, you have a wave of attackers and then you lose all your weapons. And then sometimes you don't get weapons at all because you missed all the matches. And that's a terrible place to be. It's also active.
How do you lose health, take damage? I see the hearts up there, but
yeah, I was doing pretty well. And here's the store. So with the money that you unlock, you can start unlocking new weapons. So it took me a while to figure out that this was a thing, and then I was like, oh, this adds kind of a different layer to it. So that's kind of fun. And I wanted to try out some different weapons. And I played around with this far too long to figure out that I have to equip the weapon. Like I see the lightning, I bought the lightning, and I kept on, like, my eyes did not see the word equip. So I just missed that fact. So eventually I figured this out. But the way that you lose, and you see I highlighted hearts, the way that you lose is I have 3 hearts. When things attack me, I lose hearts. When creatures come up to the puzzle on the right, they can steal my orphans. And this game is about aliens coming to steal all my orphans. I don't really understand the story. It didn't give me a real sense of a story here. But nonetheless, they're coming to steal my orphans. Some of them are just hurting me. Some of them are stealing my orphans. And so I have to destroy them before these guys on the bottom, those skeletons on the bottom, they will steal orphans and run away with them. And if you lose orphans, you lose health. If you get hit, you lose health. And then I have healing, so certain monsters will give me health back. The strategy then comes in that you might want to get rid of those skeletons first, because they steal stuff. See here, they've actually stolen orphans and they're now running away. And because there's some in front, they get away with stealing some of my orphans because I can't shoot them. So that's kind of challenging. Look, the ghosts are stealing my orphans. Look how sad this game is.
Oh wow.
I dug the art style. Like, the art was silly, but it was cool. There's a lot to it. And this is a boss. So at some point you reach a boss. He's the only guy on the screen, and big impacts to me. You can see my health went down to 1, pretty quickly on this. And you just have to keep on coming back and regenerating new weapons. And you also see there's a timer on your weapons. So you only have a certain amount of time in order to get your weapons. And so you got to be
time at the top. Does that time at the top correlate to that sign coming down? Is that the time that you have to, like, build your weapons and defenses and everything else, and then this kind of auto plays from here?
Well, so that's where the active tower comes in. I have to click the buttons that I want to fire. So there are circumstances where you might want to fire your gun at certain times and not other times, depending on the enemy coming at you. So it's an active tower defense in that you actually trigger all of your towers. So in the end, it was actually, like, I was terrible at it in the beginning, and I went through a while of playing it where I just felt like I was not good enough at the puzzle part. I could not build the puzzles properly, and the fact that it gave you that timer really messed with me. I was put under a lot of pressure to get the weapons, and then I was also trying to figure out what all the weapons did, and so I was like, well, which weapon should I should probably, and so then I was also like, it would incentivize you to get certain weapons, and so I would try to get those weapons, but since I was terrible at the puzzle part, it would mess everything up trying to get a particular weapon. So at some point I just started like, screw that, I'm just going to build any weapon, because that's better than what I'm getting. And then after a little while of doing that, I finally it started to sink in a little bit. And so now I can actually generate the weapons that I want, and then I can add more weapons. And, so it actually got pretty fun once I figured out the mechanics better. So that said, and I want to call out a couple other names too. So when I looked at this game, it's a Unity game, which wreaked havoc on my 21 by 9 screen at this point. Like I had to work that out. It's just really big. So this was done by Necrosoft Games, which is a game group, and I thought they did a really good job. Art was by Juan Ramirez. The story, which I didn't really get to the story at this point, was by Brandon Sheffield. So I may have to play a little bit longer just so that I actually see some of that story unfold. The code was by Jim Crawford, and the music was by a group called Disaster Piece. So that's great. And there is a bunch of different tunes in it, although they kind of faded to the background for me as I was playing it. You know, it felt fairly repetitive, and but it was fine. So in the end, I gave it 4 out of 5. I thought the art was great. The music was fine, right? It was cool. The mechanics, once I figured it out, so I wasn't going to give him a point for mechanics because the puzzle was killing me. But once I figured it out, I was like, no, this is fine. My brain can figure this out. It's probably good for me. And then the controls were super easy. There was nothing to learn about controls. And the fact that you have part of the mechanics, right? You have upgrades, which I learned about later. So that was actually kind of cool. More weapons to unlock, more abilities, I guess, to unlock. And the only thing I nicked at a point for was story, and that's because I haven't seen the story yet. Now, I've only played maybe 2.5 hours, something like that. Maybe not even that long. So I suspect maybe I'll see more of that if I continue on that.
Oh, fair enough. Did the weapons scale?
They do, yeah.
When you match like a block a 2x3 versus a 2x1 or 2x2.
They scaled a couple of different ways. So one of the ways that they scaled was just by the size of the block that you created. So that was 2 things. But the size of the block would give you 1 or more weapons. So if it's a big enough block, you'll get 2 of the weapons instead of just 1. If it's a little 4x4 at the bottom, you get a weapon on the bottom. If it's at the top, you'll get it on the top. So position also mattered in terms of where that weapon got slotted, which falls into the strategy. And then whether it was on the left side or the right side meant that you could either pull it to the left or pull it to the right. And that positioned it for you on the effect, area of effect or weapon. And then the more times you drug a weapon onto an existing slot, the same weapon, it would increase the power of that weapon. So if you got multiples, you could increase the power by a good bit. So big blocks.
Would it refill ammo too?
I never noticed if it had more ammo or not, but I will say that more powerful weapons fired more frequently. So they may have lasted the same amount of time, but they fired a lot more ammo in that time. But it did feel more like time-based rather than ammo, But I don't know. I don't know how that really worked out in the game. So some of them, there's also then scaling on the weapons themselves. In the store, you could buy upgrades with your money. So you can upgrade the weapons so that they are just obviously doing more damage, I guess. And from that, I learned, some weapons were really great, especially if they were high powered. And then other weapons I didn't feel like were that great, even at high powers or in certain space. Like the dragon weapon as an area of effect, I didn't think was very good. So I generally tried to avoid that at some point and just keep it on the left because it was good on the left. So pretty fun.
What was the name of that game again?
Gunhouse by Necromance Games. Yeah.
All right.
And it is, I think right now it is $5 or $6 on itch. So it's a real game. And it actually says on there that it is infinite. You can play it there are infinite levels. So you can just keep going and upgrade everything to infinity and beyond. Infinity +1, I think it would have said at once upon a time.
Yeah, my game too. Although it's not infinite levels, you can always rewatch the same channel. You can keep going.
Keep flipping on that channel.
As long as you want.
Well, good call.
Are we ready to roll?
Yeah, I think we are. We aren't usually, but this time we.
All right, I got a light, long game. Welcome to the digital album release of Light Long Gone, which allows you to listen to individual instruments in any combination you want and explore by music in a more intimate way.
So again, not a game, but perhaps an experience. But I believe one of our guys did this long ago, and it was actually really fascinating because they had little like game experiences that unlocked each track on the album, I think, in that case.
Oh, are you saying in a previous episode?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And mine is Interstellar Errands, which is titled as a fridge door RPG of fetch quests in space. So I don't know entirely what that means, but it sounds like it'll be
The
pen and paper.
entire RPG, yeah, the entire RPG fits onto a single-sided page, so you can just print and post it to your fridge door for convenient snack time play.
I do
All you
like
need
that.
is a
That is,
D6, a D20, optional, and your imagination.
yeah, that is actually great. A one page. So I actually have a bunch of they're called one page RPGs, and they hold a competition every year, and so I get compendiums of that where it's just all these best of one page RPGs, and so they fit on a complete adventure, quest or whatever on one page. And oftentimes it's just a picture that has like different areas of the maps kind of notated, and from that you kind of devise a bigger story, or obviously you have to put together the actual sequence of events and things, but it gives you kind of the rough material that you can use to create that. So those are a lot of fun.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see your review on it next week.
Yeah, and it'll be snack time, so who knows what'll show up. Well, that was short and sweet, Corey, but as always, good game.
Good game. Next week.
Hey, and I should mention before we cut out, Baldur's Gate 3 came out, so I hope not to be late next week, but if I am, surely it's not because of that.
Why do you think we started early tonight?
Yeah, exactly, and ending early at that.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Olaf.
All right, see ya.